When you need a mortgage, don't stress at all. Just tune right in and give these guys.
Good morning, YouTube. Today is Tuesday, April 21st. And let's check in with weatherman, traffic man, and engineer Tom on the situation for the draft Thursday. Tom?
So looks like we are good to go with the sunny skies here over Pittsburgh on Thursday and Friday, but we could see some stuff flowing in here Saturday morning with a little bit of rain clouds. That doesn't matter to Tom because I'm going to take out my weather jacket as well as my umbrella and go play 18.
Okay, great. Is the Pittsburgh traffic patterns ready for this supposed, how many 100,000s are coming to town?
It went from 500 to 600, and I don't frankly understand.
Okay.
Where are they coming from? Where are all these people coming from? One. Two, why did they have to shut down the North Shore exit 14 days before it? I think they were just like, let's screw up these UPS and FedEx guys so they can't make any deliveries. I'm not too sure, but I don't know. It's almost here. It's almost gone. I think everybody in Pittsburgh, not everybody, I'd say half the people are like, get this thing out of here. Mm-hmm. Half the people are like, oh, it's cool. And the other half are not going down. So I gave up 3 halves there. You could figure out the fourth.
There you go, Anth. Anth, you prepared? You doing any marketing? You showing off Pittsburgh at all?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm not.
Wonderful. There you go. Short and sweet.
What about you?
I'm trying. I'm gonna don't tell the NFL, but as soon as they get those drone shots of the city, I'm gonna make sure I screenshot those, and yeah, we'll share them on the social media because I think they're gonna make the city look great.
I think that's actually a pretty good idea. And I think real estate agents should also be marketing this city because there's a ton of people going to be coming to this place that might want to make Pittsburgh their home.
Yeah. Or see it on TV. We all know city looks pretty good on TV. But that's Thursday. We'll get into it, see how it goes. Seems like it's going to be a fairly uneventful draft, but hopefully the weather holds up. And
we still have our studio down there Friday morning for AM Chatter on stage.
Yeah. Yeah. They rented us out 8 a.m. to 8:30. So that would be nice.
That would be cool.
We'd be like this big. But today we're talking FHA loans, but we're going to flip it and we're talking FHA loans to listing agents because I would say this is my 1 to 2 time a year problem that comes up. And when it comes up, it's a bad problem because it can kill the deal if we're accepting deals that we shouldn't be accepting or we're not understanding timelines. So 90-day flipping rule, guys, that may be a completely new term to some folks that are watching. So we'll explain it, Tom, because like I said, it's kind of a rare rule, but it can bite you in the butt and it can bite hard.
Oh, yeah. I've had it happen to me before. And, it's not always possible to catch on the front end as things start developing quickly, especially on a weekend. So very important that when your home closed that you're selling if you are working with a flipper. Because if it is within the first 90 days after the flipper has closed and done their work on the home, it cannot be financed by an FHA loan. It needs to wait until after day 90 to day 91 before you can even have an accepted sales agreement. So it is very, very important that you guys as listing agents don't accept that FHA offer before day 90.
And Tom, what you said makes perfect sense to me. But Anthony, let's go back and just understand what Tom said. So if you're listing a house and you know that they're a flipper, you need to know when they bought and closed on that home because they can't then resell it within 90 days and accept an FHA offer.
Yeah. I mean, and it's easy enough to check if, you're listing a property. First off, you need to know what you're selling. If you don't know what you're selling, that's a problem because, once we get that appraisal back, we're going to find out, the last sale date of recording. and that's when it starts. So that 90 days starts from that point, and you can't list or you can't have an agreement of sale until the 91st day.
And this is not a oops, my bad. We'll go back and get our new contract signed, because when the lender puts that into the FHA system, which is going to happen pretty quickly, because guys, to be honest, a lot of times this isn't found out until the appraisal comes back if we're not aware when the house was sold previously. So we may be a couple weeks into the transaction until we find this out. So it's already been into the FHA system. So then it could be dead in the water, or at least that lender cannot move forward with financing.
Yeah, and don't get us wrong, like we do try to catch these things up front when it's happening, but it is impossible to catch everything. We could be working on multiple files, jamming it in there. We did not see when the date was recorded, and sometimes those dates are delayed too. So it is very important to that listing agent that they know their date and they're not accepting it before day 91.
Now here's an extra caveat to the 90-day flipping rule. If it's within 180 days or 6 months, right? Is that correct? 100. That it needs a second appraisal, and the seller has to pay for that appraisal. So again, if you're a listing agent, don't be blindsided by that guideline. That is an FHA guideline. If it's within that 180 days, yes, your seller has to pay for the appraisal. A second one has to be completed, and the lender's going to use the lower of the two.
Yeah, and to me, the buyer's agent doesn't need to explain this to the listing agent. The listing agent needs to know what type of property they're listing, what type of deal they're accepting, and know that their seller's going to have to pay for a second appraisal if they take an FHA. The buyer's agent's not going to bring this forward because they want to give the best deal possible and give their buyer the best chance. So we want buyer's agents working for buyers. Listing agents can work for the sellers.
And unfortunately, though, I'd say 90% of my experiences when this comes up, I've never heard of this. What is this? Is this something new? Is this a West Penn financial guideline? Like the questions that pop up when it has always been and always has been an FHA guideline are a little funny.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the first time that specific person has ever had that issue. Maybe one in a million. But it's a very common known guideline as far as flipping. It's on conventional as well. It's just not as short of a time frame. But know what you're selling and work with a lender that's actually going to teach you guys about what guidelines are going to be needed and what's in place for what you're trying to sell. So but first thing is know what you're selling.
Last thing we want to happen is to get an offer accepted, and then just because of information that was not known, can't complete financing. And there are times that happens. There's guidelines that we have no control over in some cases, and there's sometimes buyers that can't just switch loan types, right? If that buyer needed the FHA loan, needed the seller assistance, or there's some reason they went FHA, they may not be able to go conventional and keep that loan going. And now you're a couple weeks into a transaction. It was off the market. We had a seller think they had a house sold. We never want that to happen.
Yeah. And we're always, again, we're trying to fight for the best deal for our clients always.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. So if you're listing a home, if you work with flippers, just understand you see an FHA offer come in, or you're going to take an FHA offer, pay attention to when your seller bought the home and closed and is now getting a sales contract signed. That is the two timelines you have to pay attention, from close date to signed contract. It's not to the new closing, because we've had that multiple times too. Hey, closing is going to be after the 90 days. Wrong. If that contract is signed within 90 days, we have a problem, FHA.
Yeah, and even if they're working with a seller, they could just ask them for their final HUD settlement statement, which will clearly state the closing date. And
Oh, you muted yourself, old man.
I don't know how I did that, but yeah, ask the
You're
seller for
censoring
their HUD
yourself.
settlement statement. That'll actually give you the date that they actually closed, which could raise that red flag on the timeline.
Easy enough. And that should be a document every seller has.
Especially if they close within 90 days.
Yeah. Yeah. You shouldn't lose it that quick. All right, guys, that's all I have today. We'll check in draft status with engineer Tom on Friday, and see you guys then.
Sounds good, boys.
Later.
Tom, Ryan, and Anthony